It's time for Mac Geek Gab, and listener Ian, well, future listener Ian, brings us our quick tip of the week. Ian was my Uber driver in Austin on the way to the airport yesterday when I was flying home from South by Southwest, and Ian did something in the car that I never thought to do. He was using his phone. His car did not have CarPlay. He was using his phone for his Uber and navigation and all that stuff. And he asked Siri, turn up the brightness. And then Siri did that for him. And I was like, whoa, I never even thought to do that. He's like, yeah, of course. He's like, because sometimes when I'm driving, the sun gets too bright, which it was that particular morning in Austin. And it worked great. Never thought to do it. You can learn these quick tips anywhere. We just keep our minds open. More quick tips like this, plus your questions answered and some cool stuff found today here on Mac Geek Gab 1134 for Monday, March 23rd, World Math Day 2026. Woohoo! Greetings, folks, and welcome to Mac Geek Gab, the show where you send in or present us with quick tips like that, and we share them. You present us with cool stuff found, and we share them. You present us with questions, and we share them and discuss answers or at least possible solution paths. The goal being that each and every one of us learns at least 5 new things every single time we get together. Our sponsors for this episode include Shopify.com/MGG, where you can sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today. Gusto.com/MGG, where you get 3 months for free when you run your first payroll. And Pocket Hose, where the way this works is you text MGG to 64,000 on your phone, and that gets you a free pocket pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size copperhead hose. We'll talk more about all of this in a little bit. For now, back here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And still here in South Dakota, I'm Adam Christensen.
And Pilot Pete is, it's the Silent Pete Day. He's here supporting us from the background, but is in an environment, he's traveling in an environment where that is not conducive to podcasting, unfortunately. So Pete's here far more than in spirit. He's just, you're not going to hear him today. So there you go.
He is, he's lurking.
He's lurking. He's doing more than lurking. He's actually doing a lot of the video production and stuff, as he usually does. So yeah.
Our tech. He's still tech.
He really is. Yeah. So thank you, Pete. All right. Let's see. Our monthly giveaway remains. I'm getting back into the swing of things. We literally recorded an episode, on the Tuesday before I left for South by on Wednesday, and now I flew back on Thursday, and we're recording on Friday, so it all feels very sort of crazy. But our giveaway is still the sound source with Rogue Amoeba at macgeekgab.com/giveaway. So go check that out, and go download the Mac Geek Gab app too. For everything, really. It's optimized currently. We've been focusing on sort of bringing it up to speed for iPhone. It does work on iPad and Mac as well. But go check out the app. Let us know what you think, and we're going to keep iterating on it because it's fun. Yeah. All right. I guess we should keep moving on quick tips, Adam, unless there's something else. Okay, great. So in a similar vein as the tip from Ian, Scott wrote in. We talked about toggling dark mode and long pressing the brightness. It turns out you don't have to long press the brightness or the volume knob in Control Center. You just tap them and it comes up. So that was from, I believe, new listener Allison had sent that in as a bonus quick tip. But even easier, Scott points out, is just ask Siri, turn on dark mode. No taps, no looking around for menus or sliders. And then, of course, turn off dark mode. Does just what you would expect. Lots easier. Never even thought about doing these things with the S Lady. So, yeah.
I think this is a symptom of the S Lady early on getting a very bad rap.
Fair.
And I think, if we would use our digital assistants more, we might discover more of these little features and functionalities. You know what I mean?
I do. I have to counter that. I know last week I was doing my darndest to remain positive about everything, and I'll keep that in mind. But there are so many things that I try to have Siri do and fail that I perhaps it curbs my my experimentation because I just assume failure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that was exactly my point. It's like, I think,
I know. But
so it's like, you're surprised when like, oh, I didn't know that would work. I didn't even think to try because I wouldn't have, because I just assumed that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So we get in this spiral.
We get in the spiral. I tried before I left for Austin. I was packing the weekend before. And even though I stay at the same hotel every single time I go to South by, I never, this is the first time Lisa came with me. And so she asked me, she's like, is there a pool at our hotel? I'm like, you know what? I have no idea. I've never used the pool. And we didn't use the pool. There is a pool, but we did not use the pool this week either because there's no time for that, as Lisa learned. You're always on the go. What do you mean? Relax. I don't understand. And so I just asked Siri, I'm like, Siri, is there a pool at my hotel? Now, Siri has my calendar on the device, right? So, and it has the ability to search the web. Like it could get all of this information, and it didn't even, like, the answer to the question didn't even indicate that it understood the context that I was asking. It was like, I don't know about Austin hotels. And it was like, yeah, okay, never mind. So I asked my OpenClaw agent the same question. It was like, yes, do you want me to build you a packing list based on the weather and this, that, and the other thing? I'm like, see, this is what I want from my digital agent. So, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, but it's so close. And I really want to say this. Apple's device, Apple has, no great surprise, had a lot more foresight into this AI thing than we give them credit for, because every Apple device that we have is perfectly built to run local AI models on device. And that's why people are picking up Mac Minis to run all their OpenClaw agents and all that stuff, because the hardware is literally built to do this. So once Apple figures it out and rolls it out, this is going to be like, these devices that we already have are going to be amazing. And I realized that I said once Apple, one could say if Apple. I'm gonna hold out hope here, but like, these devices really are purpose built for this, perhaps more than anything else that they're purpose built for. But so there's my positive spin on all this. Yeah,
to back to your original point, I've never understood the lack of local sort of data integration with their own apps. That whole calendar thing. Yeah, like you would think that context of, you wouldn't have to get specific and say, does this specific hotel in Austin have a pool? You should be able to say, hey, I'm staying, does the hotel I'm staying at this weekend, because it's on your calendar, have a pool? And it should be able to go to the integrated data. It's funny you said search the web. Maps has an integration with what do they use for their data? Yelp. And Yelp knows if the hotel has a pool. It's in the little features. Like if you look up the location
really
Yelp,
smart.
I guarantee you it'll say, here's the amenities.
Yes.
Right? Yeah,
right. So it's already there. That's the frustrating part. It's like
their partner, not just random. It doesn't have to go out to a random website and do a search. You could just go to their already approved Maps data partner and get the data there. Yeah. So it's crazy.
I know it's frustrating. It's frustrating.
I get you. But again, I give Siri some grace once in a while, and I'm often surprised by what he's able to do.
Well, and in the interest of things like these quick tips, the two that we've already mentioned, trying those things sometimes you will be pleasantly surprised, and then it becomes part of your workflow, and then you don't even think about it anymore. So, like yeah, I know it's close. I did want to, while we're kind of on the subject, at South by Southwest, I saw a lot of things. We'll talk about a couple of them here, and then probably they'll pepper in through episodes over the next couple of weeks. But I went and saw Vira-CSF, who is one of the co-founders of MacPaw and also their chief technology and innovation officer. She went and spoke on local AI, and briefly mentioned their product Eney, which is the kind of their take on a local AI that runs on your Mac. But really, the session was just about running AI models locally in general, which is faster, more private. I don't want to say more secure, although that's probably true too, because you're not sending data to the cloud. It's all running locally. And to the point I made earlier, there are apps that you can download to run local models on your phone. And you can even query Apple's local model on your phone, or you can download third-party models like you could with like Ollama and things like that. And one app that she mentioned is called Locally AI, LOCALLYAI.app. Of course, there's a link in the show notes. And it will be your local chatbot. And I tried it in airplane mode on the airplane without Wi-Fi connected, and it works great. So it's just it's not just functional and interesting to be able to use, but it's an example of this idea that our iPhones really are built to run these models very efficiently. So yeah, there's hope for the future here. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that Vera did that. Yeah. All right. Back to quick tips, shall we?
Yeah. So Bill has a little bit of a follow-up. He said, a few weeks ago, I was fumbling around getting some directions going in CarPlay. Unfortunately, somehow I managed to turn off spoken directions without knowing what I did. Yes, I was driving at the time. I couldn't get them back on again even after I got home. I looked in CarPlay settings, map settings, notification settings, and other places I could think of. Fortunately, an internet search led me to the answer. You must be, and to get this to work, you need to be in navigation mode. So just be aware of this. So you already need to be in maps. You already need to be navigating somewhere before this will work. And what you need to do is on the first screen, tap the little area at the bottom, I think it is. Oh, no, on the left, there is a little speaker icon when you're navigating. So there's like the direction icon.
Yep.
And then under that, there is a speaker icon, and that will bring up the voice controls. And then in the voice controls, you have muted, alerts only, and unmuted. You got to make sure you're unmuted, and you also have a couple of volume options: softer, normal, louder. And then he says later he did notice there's another way to get to the voice controls, although like before, you have to be in navigation mode. Go to the bottom of the screen as if you were going to add a stop, so when you can swipe up from the bottom and get more details about your trip. And then down, if you scroll down at the under that, there is voice controls as well, right above the end route button. And he says, why these voice controls can't seemingly be accessed elsewhere in this settings app is beyond me, but don't get caught like I did.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. I've run into this before too, where, suddenly the S lady is not giving me my turn-by-turn directions verbally. And it's like, what the heck happened? And getting them turned back on can be tricky. So that's where it is, little speaker icon. I would assume it's similar in CarPlay. If you have CarPlay, I think it's all the same controls are there.
It is, but I will point out the controls are not on screen until you tap the screen, and then they sort of light up. So my sister texted me, I don't know, a couple of months ago or something, and it was like, how do I get CarPlay to talk to me again? It's like, right, tap the screen, then look in the kind of upper right-ish area, and you'll either see the speaker icon or the kind of alerts icon. Tap that, and then you get your choices.
Yeah. But again, you got to be navigating. You can't just have the Maps app up.
Right.
You have
And
to have
go ahead.
Active route going. Sorry.
No. While we're on this subject, actually, a question that Ian, my Uber driver, asked me yesterday was, how do I adjust the volume of Siri? He says every time I go to adjust the volume, it adjusts the volume of the music, not of Siri. And the way I know how to do that is to adjust the volume actively while Siri is speaking to you, because the volume buttons try to be intelligent, and the same with your volume knob. If you connect it to CarPlay and that sort of thing, it will adjust the volume of the currently playing sound source. And you do have different volume levels for all of them. But the only way I know how to do it, maybe there is another way. If you know another way, feedback at macgeekgab.com.
Yeah, if you do know another way, feedback at macgeekgab.com. And as Pete would like to say, feedback at macgeekgab.com, if he could speak.
If he could speak. I mean, he can speak. We just can't hear him. He may be saying it out loud for all we know. Yeah.
I actually do know one other way. Now, again, this doesn't work for the CarPlay directions thing, because, again, that's a separate setting. Like, you can access, the louder, softer. So the directions thing, I'm just talking about general S Lady. So S Lady's not, you can ask S Lady, because I do this all the time with my HomePods, and I'm 95% sure it would work with your iOS devices too. You say, S Lady, talk louder or speak louder.
Really?
Yeah, just ask her. Speak up.
Huh.
I know it works on the HomePod, so I would assume it works on the phone as well. And she will adjust just her volume, not the overall volume.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Love it.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. Henry has our next quick tip for us. He says, "A good day, gentlemen of the Geek Gab. Mere hours ago, I happened upon a new quick tip that I shall be employing post-haste in mobile Safari. To open a link of Hyper in a new tab, simply tap it with thine 2 fingers. No longer needest thou to tap and hold on thine 1 finger and then select Open in background. Thy humble servant, Henry." Why, thank you, Henry. That's really interesting. I had never known that before. So to open a link in a new tab, you just tap it. You do a 2-finger single tap. So it's a double finger single tap. Right. Say that 10 times fast. And you just tap it instead of long pressing on it. Interesting. All right. I did not know that one. Yeah, great.
Quick and easy. I got another quick and easy one from etc. As it were. Fellow geeks, this may be one of those cool stuffs that everyone already knew except me, but it's too good, rather, not to share. I have to arrange single-page PDFs into one document many times over the years, and have always used a much slower process, which I've already purged from my memory. A much simpler and faster process is select the target PDFs in Finder, right-click over one of the selected files, scroll down to Quick Actions, and click on Create PDF. That's it. If necessary, the order can be rearranged in Preview, but for bulk consideration, this is working great for me. Don't get caught, and I did it right, saying etc.
There you go. Yeah, I never thought about that. I'm thinking about 2 things at once. First is that I learned a thing, which I love. And the second is his sort of buried quick tip, which is that you can rearrange the order of the pages in a PDF in Preview. You can add pages. You can do merging of PDFs in Preview too. In fact, you can be very granular about it. You can say, I want this one page from this PDF, and you literally open the thumbnails view, which is not necessarily always open. You go to, I think it's View and Thumbnails or Show Thumbnails. And then that's where you can rearrange things. You can delete specific pages. That's where you can drag other pages from other PDFs that are open in and do all those things. It's quite powerful for that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the only place where I think this gets confusing and where this tip about merging all of them from the quick action is helpful is if you select a bunch of PDFs in the Finder and then open all of them, they will open in a single preview window as but when you open the pages thing, they'll still be individual pages, but it'll look like a multi-page, and it's very confusing. So I've run into that problem before where I've thought, oh, well, now they're all in one. I'll just do a save as, and I'll have one PDF with 3 things in it. It's like, nope, it only saves the one that you were previewing. And so like that, your tip is correct. You got to open each one in its own individual preview window, and then you can drag the page over and then combine it. But if you open them all from the Finder as one preview window, it'll still be 3 separate documents or 4, however many PDFs.
Yeah.
So that gets confusing sometimes.
You can do the dragging in the one sort of monolithic window,
right?
But you need to. I think you need to know what you just said before you start doing that, because otherwise it's not clear that you can do it. There's some sort of subtle visual indicator to separate the multiple PDFs from each other, and you also see the page. Yeah, it's like a line, but the page numbers also reset to it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2.
Yeah. I forget all the tricks, but
it's confusing, but it is doable. But yeah, do it the other way first, just to get your bearings, and then you can get advanced with it. So
yeah. Although now I just tried opening multiple selected PDFs from the Finder, and they open in separate windows. So maybe that behavior has changed. I don't know. With 26, I don't think I've done this since going to 26.
Oh yeah, it could be different.
It always used to open as a single PDF in the past, but.
Yeah, Kiwi Graham is in our Discord chat is saying yes, he also believes it has changed in 2026. So
yeah,
maybe
for that exact reason, because it was really confusing.
Kiwi Graham also adds a corollary to our discussion here, and this is that dragging multiple text files into a single BB edit window will paste them sequentially in the order that you selected them.
Ooh,
I know. I feel like I have a use case for this, but I can't think of it at the moment. But we'll come up with it, I'm sure.
That's cool.
Yeah. In system settings, Mickey tells us that macOS is annoying in that it hides the monitor rotation option by default on the desktop, but not on laptops. However, there is an easy fix. You can get system settings displays to show rotation as an option by, holding the Option key while opening settings and selecting displays. And then the option for rotating the display appears there. And this can be really handy if you've got a monitor that you want, that you want to put the monitor, like if you've got it in landscape mode, you want it in portrait mode. Some monitors will automatically send that signal upstream. But others, you just have to tell the Mac what to do. So very handy. Yep. Cool. Very good. Thanks, Mickey.
All right. I have one from my wife, actually. And this
Amazing.
was great. She came to me and how did this came up in a normal conversation. She had recently gone on a trip and came back and told me about this. And I went, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Why didn't I think of that? So she has a lot of iOS games, or I don't know what's going on with that camera.
That's me. I realized I should stop here because I was messing with your sound. I realized you had echo cancellation turned on for your thing. Well, but when I turned it off, your volume took a huge nosedive that I couldn't fix. So I turned your echo cancellation back on, but I have noticed it a couple times today while we've been talking that it gets a little herky-jerky. No, but maybe in a bit you can just give us more gain, and then turn off echo cancellation, and then we'll get there. But anyway, please finish your thought. My apologies, folks.
No, so my thought was she had gone on a trip recently, and she plays a lot of like games downloaded from the App Store on her phone. She likes to get different games, like solitaire games and puzzle, the little puzzle games. And most recently, she's been trying to learn, I think, Pinochle, because some people want. So she had downloaded some sort of Pinochle app that was ad supported. But it's, like a lot of these apps, they're like really, really, really annoying with the volume of ads that you get, right? It's like ad, and while she was traveling, she was on the plane in airplane mode, and she noticed, I don't get ads in airplane mode. So the tip here is, if you have one of these apps that's overly annoying and cumbersome with its ads, put your phone in airplane mode, and then it can't download and grab new ads. And so you will not get ads in your app. Now, I'm all, again, for supporting developers. If you find something that you really like and it's ad supported and it's annoying and you can turn off ads by paying a couple bucks, I would encourage you to pay a couple bucks, if you really like it. But a lot of times the stuff, she's grabbing is little throwaway stuff. She's just going to use it for a little bit and not really hold on to it. And again, sometimes it's only ad supported, and that's fine too. Maybe turn it on a little bit, giving them a couple bucks. But if they're, you know what I'm talking about. Some of these apps are just like really junky and really spammy, and we'd like to have balance. But so this is a way you can not get spammed completely, and I thought that was great. I was like, that makes total sense.
I'm actually, I like it that. I like your sentiment here, but what I'll add is that, and this is obviously coming from someone who has spent decades successfully running ad-supported businesses. I think people in our position must keep the user experience in mind,
right?
Because people, I kind of think our lives here, in fact, are a testament to this. If you do that, people will happily support you and pay attention to the sponsors that you want to bring them. But when you turn it into Times Square of advertising and you just ham-fistedly shove all that stuff in front of people, it ruins the user experience, and therefore, they probably aren't paying attention to the ads anyway. The ads aren't as valuable, all of that stuff. There's a reason that, we cap this show, generally speaking, a maximum of 4 sponsors. Obviously, I listen to other podcasts. I hear that, I'll get 6 sponsors before I even hear from the host at the beginning. So there's use your own stuff if you're going to be ad supported. Like, feel it out, feel what it's like. So anyway,
there's just I think the point is there's a balance. And again, a lot of these apps, right, are coming out of app mills out of China, and it's just like that's their model, is just like they churn these things out. They're dime a dozen, and it's one company, and they're getting ads from thousands of apps. So I don't feel too bad for them, honestly.
Yeah, right. It's a different business model. There you go. Yep. And they know what they've gotten themselves into. All right. Speaking, while we're on the subject, it seems this is not really planned. So my apologies for what might look like a ham-fisted thing, but it's really not. It is time, and I love that we get to tell you about our sponsors, and that's what I want to do right now. You know how we're always trying to automate the boring stuff, right? So we don't get caught wasting time on it instead of like geeking out on our Macs and having fun and doing stuff. Well, our sponsor, Gusto, is online payroll and benefits software built for small businesses. It's all-in-one, remote-friendly, and incredibly easy to use. So you can pay, hire, onboard, and support your team from anywhere. I love that it just files the payroll taxes. It handles the direct deposit, and it would let me run unlimited payrolls for one monthly price. No hidden fees, no surprises. It feels like adding a rock solid background process to your business that just runs so you can focus on the fun stuff, because that's what I love about running a business, is focusing on the fun stuff. So you take the things that you don't like, and you like payroll, and you bring in a service like Gusto that just like does it, and then you get to do the fun stuff. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/MGG and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. Yeah, I know. That's 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/MGG. One more time, gusto.com/MGG, and our thanks to Gusto for sponsoring this episode. As tech people here, right, as nerds, we love gear that just works. And the Pocket Hose Copperhead feels like that smart home version of a garden hose. Old school hoses kink right up at the spigot, but this one has their pocket pivot that swivels 360 degrees. So you get full water flow and can walk all the way around the yard without fighting this thing. It's amazing. You got to check this out. When you're done, it shrinks back down to pocket size for easy, tidy storage. No winding, no wrestling, totally frictionless. Plus, it's super light, ultra durable, and backed by a 10-year warranty. I know. So you're not buying this thing again next season. The brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot, it's a total game changer. And you know our rule. Don't get caught without the right tools. Well, for a limited time, you, our listeners, can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. The way you do it, just text MGG to 64,000. That's MGG to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. MGG to 64000. Message and data rates may apply. See their terms for details and go check this out. I think you're going to love it. And our thanks to Pocket Hose for sponsoring this episode. And I'll tell you, when we started like Mac Observer and MGG and Backbeat and the rest of my businesses, every time it feels like I suddenly have to wear every hat at once, right? Tech, design, marketing, all of it. If I don't wear it, it ain't getting done. And that can be overwhelming. It gets overwhelming really quickly. For millions of creators and entrepreneurs, our sponsor Shopify is the built-in business partner that takes a huge chunk of that off your plate. From beautiful store templates to AI that actually helps you write product descriptions and headlines, plus tools that handle inventory, payments, and even international shipping in one clean dashboard. It's like adding a full stack commerce team to your solo operation so you can focus on building cool stuff and, of course, making sure you don't get caught. I've been using Shopify with a couple of my businesses for a while now, and I wouldn't do it any other way. You got to check this out. Start your business today with the industry's best business partner, Shopify, and start hearing ka-ching, right? Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/MGG. Go to shopify.com/MGG. That's shopify.com/MGG. Go check it out. I think you're going to like it. And our thanks to Shopify for sponsoring this episode. So I was at South by Southwest last week, Adam, and on Wednesday, which was the final day of South by, there was a session that was David Pogue, who many people in the Apple universe know. He obviously is an author, maybe not obviously. He is an author. He's written a lot of books about technology and Apple. He's CBS Sunday Morning for the last number of years. He wrote for Macworld magazine for a long time. Long-standing journalist in the community. He just put out a book, Apple, the First 50 Years. And this session was ostensibly him telling stories from his book. He's on a book tour, right? But it wasn't, because he was joined by Phil Schiller for this particular session. He's been going around, David's been going around the country doing these these kind of book tour things and promoting his book. But I think this was the only one where he had Phil Schiller with him. Phil Schiller now is an Apple fellow. He was the head of marketing for Apple. He worked very closely with Steve Jobs for a number of years. And Phil has stories. This was, I think David maybe spoke 10% of the time, which, if you know David, is no small feat. But he understood what he had on stage with him, obviously. And he was just as happy to hear Phil's stories as all of us in the room were. And Phil wound up telling him a lot of stories that weren't even in the book, because David would be like, you didn't tell me this for the book. He's like, you didn't ask. I almost didn't go to this. Wednesday was, it was about 80 degrees in Austin. This session was at 2:30 in the afternoon. And Sunday night, Monday, and Tuesday, were cold in Austin. Like it was down in the 40s. We wound up doing a lot of things outside because you wind up doing that for South by. But, we were like as bundled up as we could be with whatever we brought. And to finally have a nice day where there was an afternoon, there was a bunch of music happening. It was like, man, I really don't want to go to this thing. And just simply because of the time. Like I had one last day in Austin. I don't want to spend it in a conference hall somewhere. And then I looked, I'm like, right, Schiller's joining him. I got to go to this. I am so happy I went. It was the most candid I've ever seen Phil Schiller be in public. And he was just relaxed. It was pretty clear that I'm sure there were things he would not talk about, but it was the most candid I've ever seen him. It was just amazing. And he told some fun stories about Steve and just being at Apple and those sorts of things. So I wanted to share a couple of them with you. One, my favorite one, was when they announced the iBook. Phil famously did his jump with the iBook from stage at Macworld Expo. The way that this happened, the way this came to be, was they were in Apple's headquarters, or in Building 3 at Apple's headquarters or whatever, and they were testing Wi-Fi because the iBook was the first laptop that ever had Wi-Fi. It was really the first device that brought Wi-Fi to the consumer market, and so they were testing it by they had put the guts of an iBook. They had them inside the building, but of course they back in those days and probably these days too, they couldn't put any unannounced product outside. But they wanted to test this thing. And so they took a huge, like 3-foot flick doll from A Bug's Life, because Steve happened to be, working at both companies at the time. And they took the guts of an iBook and strapped it to this flick doll and also added an accelerometer to it, like you'd use for like a science experiment or whatever. And put a bungee cord on it and dropped it from the roof of the building. And as it bounced, they could be in the office watching it bounce outside and then seeing the readings coming through from the accelerometer on a computer inside using Wi-Fi. This doesn't seem like a big deal today because we're all very used to Wi-Fi. But back then, it was a huge thing to be able to like get real-time readings from this thing that was bouncing outside. What couldn't be, it could have been connected via Ethernet because there's a bungee cord, but you get what we're saying. And as soon as they saw this demo, Steve was like, we have to do this at Macworld Expo. And Phil's like, yeah, okay, sure. It's like, but it has to be a person. It can't be it can't be a doll or something. That's not going to be fun. And he turns to Phil and he says, you're it. And so Phil's like, oh, no, come on, man. He's like, and he said to Phil, which I love because we all know it wasn't true, if you do this, you'll never have to do another demo again. Right. Yeah, of course. Phil did many, many, many demos after this. But so, okay, fine. So, all right, they're doing this at the Jacob Javits Center in New York. Fine, good stuff. They get there, and the people at the Javits Center are like, like the techs at the Javits Center, they get there like the weekend before to start doing rehearsals. And they're like, right, so we've got this rigged up. But, one very important thing. Phil said to Steve, I'll do it, but I'm not signing any waivers. He's like, if I get killed, I want my family to basically own all of Apple. And Steve's like, yeah, sounds good. We'll take care of your family, Phil. Like, you're good. No problem. No waiver necessary. Great. Fine. So they get to the Javits Center, and the people who are doing the rigging and all that stuff are like, well, so like, we think this is going to work, but the building's not really that tall. So we kind of like, we're going to need to put a lot of extra harnessing on you and this, that, and the other thing. We might really need to put something on the ground just in case you hit and this, that. And Phil's like, well, this sounds dumb now. I don't want to do this with extra harnessing and like a, bubble suit on or whatever. He's like, that's not going to look good. He's like, why don't I just jump and you guys figure out something safe for me to land on? And it's like, okay, fine. So that's the path. They re-engineer everything. They hire a stunt coordinator to teach him, like, kick your legs while you're falling to make it look like it takes longer. And so they're doing all this stuff. And Phil tests it. And he goes up. They built like a scaffolding behind the stage, and it's like, okay, 10 feet, he does his fall grade, whatever, 20 feet, okay, fine. And then like 35 feet, whatever the thing was. And he's like, well, this is much higher than I thought it would be. But he does the jumps, everything's fine. So now the room's full, we're all there. Crowd is chanting for Steve. And I'm pretty sure that was the one where Noah Wiley came out as Steve, as an anecdote. That was my first time seeing Steve, so I was sort of confused when Noah Wiley came out. But so crowd's chanting, ready for the keynote to start, and a Javits Center representative comes up to Mr. Schiller with a waiver in his hand and says, hey, you can't do this until you sign our waiver, absolving us of all responsibility for this crazy thing you're about to do. And Phil's like, no, I don't sign waivers. Of course, the crowd's still chanting, Steve, Steve. They want Steve on stage. And Phil's like, no, it's not going to happen. And they're like, well, then you can't go. And he's like, those whatever 5,000 people out there might feel differently. So still waiting for the keynote to start. Apple's chief legal counsel comes over and she asks, okay, what's going on? And the people at Javits Center are like, well, this is it. She takes out her business card and a pen. And on the back of her business card, she writes a waiver that she signs on behalf of Apple, absolving the Javits Center of all responsibility and that Apple will own any problems that haven't happened, hands that to them. The Javits Center counsel looks at it and says, looks good to me. And off the show went.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. Another fun story, and I'm going to put this to all of you as the audience because I don't know. Phil did not share the specific of this when he left Apple for a brief period of time because he just couldn't deal with how inefficient things were being run. And then Steve brought him back famously. One of the examples he shared on stage as to how dysfunctional things were was that there was a time where two different divisions inside Apple had applied for the same trademark for two different products that were being worked on, and then were using the trademark office to fight over which Apple division could get the trademark. And the trademark office called them up and was like, we've never seen this before. It's your company. You decide. We're not going to be the arbiters of this. Like, that's insane. You people figure it out. So like that was just an example. But what I want to know, and this was probably early 90s, I would guess, early to maybe mid 90s. I want to know, what was the product name? And I don't know. I submitted it as a question to the thing, and it just didn't make it on the list. So I have not found out. But some folks, I posted this online. Somebody thought maybe Newton, but I think that probably would have been prior to this. Maybe not, though. No, it could be Newton, or eMate was the other one. So I don't know. If you know, feedback at macgeekgab.com. But it was a great session. My guess is it was not recorded or streamed or anything, but if it was, I highly recommend. I'll put a link in the show notes and to the South by page for it. But it reminded me of like the Phil Schiller that we all kind of got to know decades ago, where he was just happy-go-lucky, and he looks really good. He's slimmed down quite a bit, and he was energy. It was Phil. It was great. Loved it. So anyway,
cool.
Jawohl. All right. Should we move on to questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Then that means I have to find Joe's question for you, which of course I will do because it's what I do. All right, here we go. Joe says, I have a group in contacts to which I've added several names and removed a few. When I look at it in contacts, I see the current updated list. Contacts lists it in iCloud, and it only exists there. So it's part of his iCloud contacts. When I attempt to use this group in Mail, I only get the old version. What is Mail looking at, and how do I get Mail to grab the current updated version?
Yeah. I immediately thought to the classic Mail issue that you have anytime that you're doing contacts and the contacts are weird And that is the previous recipients list in mail, which is super, super annoying. I don't know why it is like the default place that mail wants to look to find contact information when you have perfectly good contact information in your contacts app. But okay, Apple, I don't know why this hasn't been changed or fixed or reprioritized, or it just seems to always get in the way. I don't know if this is going to solve Joe's problem, but my assumption would be the first thing I would check is go into mail, go under the window menu, sort of at the end. There's something called previous recipients, and that is a list of everybody you've ever sent an email to in the list, and it pulls data from that when you're doing new emails. It's like, oh, you must mean to send it to so-and-so. And if you put a typo in there, those will start to show up, like weird stuff happens. So I would review that list, check through there. You can search it, see if your group is in there, because it does put groups in there. I verified this, and remove it. And then hopefully it'll pull it now from contacts and then be fine from that point forward. So I have a feeling it's almost like a cache, right? It's like cached in mail. It's not going to go look in contacts. It's going to look in mail. It just needs to have its cache flushed in sort of a way.
Yeah.
If that doesn't work, the only other tip that I could think of is go to contacts first. As annoying as that would be, you can go to contacts, go to your group in the group list in contacts, right click on it and say, send email to this group. And then it will open mail with that list populated. But hopefully it's just the previous recipients thing. I don't know of anything else. I don't know if you have any other ideas, Dave.
No, I think that's also where I would look at this too. To answer what was probably a semi-rhetorical question, why does Apple do this?
Okay.
I think efficiency, speed, right? If they can cache it in mail, then then it's just faster than constantly doing contacts lookups. And we've talked about it on the show before.
Right.
Anytime the Mac does contacts lookups, it's like, the CPU goes to 100%. It's all that. So that's my guess, is this is a workaround for that, to just keep things efficient. So
yeah,
that's my thought.
Probably.
All right, I tried turning off echo cancellation for you, and it's still super low. So I'm guessing there's a gain issue somewhere else in your chain, but that's okay.
I had not adjusted my gain. Did I mute myself? No.
You are.
I had not adjusted my gain yet. I asked you how much more you needed from me.
I don't think it's your output gain, Adam. I think it's probably the volume slider for the loopback device you're using, would be my guess. Unless you're not using your loopback device as your input device, in which case then that would answer that question.
No, I am, and that's at 100%.
Okay. All right. I don't know what it is. We'll figure it out for next week. We'll just dance around the echo cancellation. It just means that we get that. Like, we get weird, like, herky-jerky things sometimes.
Well, that was me literally stopping because I didn't want to cut you off.
Yeah. It's fine.
Okay.
We're gonna survive.
I apologize.
I should have noticed it before the show. We were getting settled. All right. It's all good.
Okay. Well, Bill has a question for us. Yes. It says, gentlemen, my wife is one of those people who doesn't regularly keep up with email nor unsubscribe from mailing lists, so she naturally builds up a lot of useless email in a short period of time. Nearly all of her email is her iCloud.com address. Periodically, she will go through her mail to make a good effort to get rid of a lot of the useless messages. Normally, this is no problem. However, we were recently on a road trip, and she had deleted about 1,000 emails on her iPad while in the car while she was offline. She wasn't connected to her iPhone or hotspot or anything else. Emptied the trash and assumed that when she finally reconnected to Wi-Fi, things would sync up. They didn't. It appears that all of her efforts were wasted, as the mail count is much higher on all her other devices. The other device email counts all agree with each other. I know that Dave has often said that sync is hard, but why would this fail? We've quit and relaunched the mail on all devices, rebooted all devices, and done anything else I could think of to get all things to agree, to no avail. Even logging into iCloud.com itself didn't help, as it also shows the higher count. She has done this in the past without this problem. Any suggestions other than delete emails off, other than never delete emails offline again? And
This
I don't know.
should, yeah, go ahead.
A more general question.
I think we're
good.
We're good. Yeah. What you did should work, or what she did should work.
Right.
Like I've done this before. It's fine. Sync, it is hard. It's difficult, but IMAP is pretty robust with things like this. So it feels like the iPad itself is just stuck in this pre-sync state. The one thing that jumped out to me, and I realize this is hindsight advice, but it can also be just general advice for all of us, is I never empty my email trash manually. I let the server do that. And I wonder if that is part of the formula as to why we're in this state here. Because when you trash a message, really what happens, it's two things that happen. One, it moves the message from your inbox to the trash folder. No different than if you move a message to like an archive folder. It just happens to be a folder called trash, which is, yes, treated differently, but it is at that moment just another move. And then it expunges that from the inbox to kind of catch the inbox up with the state of things. But the message is still out there, and every message has a unique ID. And so I wonder if moving them and then deleting them before you got back online, is part of the reason that the syncing didn't happen the right way. I don't know, but that's kind of where so I let the server do the deletions at, the 30-day mark or whatever I have the server set to do. So, given that the iPad is in this state, we need to get it out of this state. You've tried some of the obvious things. You've tried simply, getting it back online and telling it to sync with the server, and it's not syncing with the server. It's stuck. So I wonder if disabling iCloud Mail from that iPad and then restarting the iPad and then re-enabling iCloud Mail on that iPad would be the trick. You want to kind of flush its cache, if you will, and get it to treat the server as the truth. It sounds like that's what you want. It sounds like that the deletions that were done, you're okay kind of having them undone just to get everything back in sync. So that's what I would do. At least that's where I'd start, unless I'm missing something. So I don't know. If you have any thoughts, Adam?
I'm hoping I fixed my audio, but
you sound good. So,
okay, good.
Yes, you did fix it. All right, now I want to know what it was. Or maybe
I'll tell you later. I'll
okay,
tell you
great.
at the end.
Perfect.
But yes, no, it was what you thought. It was on the wrong input device.
Got it.
Yeah. So no, I was really stumped on this one. So I couldn't come up with anything else because I was like you. I was like, it should totally have just worked. I don't have any additional thoughts on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it should just work. That's but sometimes the things that should just work don't, right? And that's obviously why we're here. So that's where I would start, is just wipe that out and then come back to it, and hopefully that will do it. That there was a time when even when you deleted a mail account from the iPhone, I don't know that I ever tried this with the iPad, but they're obviously very similar. It wouldn't delete the folder on the iPad that contained all the local copies of any messages. And so like I had it where I would delete an account, restart the iPhone, come back, add the account, and it would immediately repopulate with all the things. It was like, no, I think make it go away. But you can't dig into the, home library mail V10 folder on the iPad. That's not something we get to touch like we do on our Macs, which is where you would go to do that on your Mac, or V whatever the current version is. But I think that's been fixed when you disable a mail or when you delete a mail account, when you deactivate a mail account, it does delete it. Has been my experience. So hopefully that's the solution.
Hopefully.
All right. Moving on to Craig, shall we? Craig says, hey guys, about 2 months ago, I started routinely getting incoming robocalls from toll-free numbers, 1-800-XXX and the other, 8XX area codes that are toll-free, most likely numbers being spoofed. The calls show up randomly about once a day, but every day. It seems as though this tactic is being used because inbound spam filters from carriers will often allow toll-free calls to be delivered. Any suggestions on how to block all incoming toll-free numbers? In the modern era, there are few legitimate cases where an inbound call from a toll-free number would occur. And even if legit, they could be delivered to voicemail. I was hopeful to use an automation, but from what I have seen, it's not possible to interrogate the inbound caller ID from a call to trigger an automation. And even if possible, to detect them coming from a toll-free number. Any suggestions? Pensacola Craig. Adam?
Yes. My suggestion is iOS 26 might be your friend. There's some new features in here, and I don't know. I looking at the screenshot, I don't think Craig had these enabled. He had sent us a screenshot of this. And so my question is, have you enabled the screen unknown callers feature and also the call filtering feature? So in your phone settings, there's a couple of features, one called screen unknown callers and the other called call filtering. I have mine currently, my screen unknown callers set to silence, which says calls from unsaved numbers will be silenced, sent to voicemail, and displayed on the recents list. So it does that. And then the unknown callers feature is missed calls and voicemails from unknown numbers will be moved to the unknown callers list. So when you enable this, I think there's some UX changes that happens to your phone app. So when I go to my screen, there's a little sort of three, it looks like an inverted, almost not quite a pyramid, but 3 lines. They're inverted. It's like a more menu up in the upper right-hand corner. And now I have my regular calls, which is my recent calls and voicemails and stuff like that. But there is also something called unknown callers. And so any of those unknown numbers, one, because I have these two features enabled, immediately go to voicemail, so I don't get the call. And then secondly, they get moved to that list, so I don't miss them. I can go review them later. And the key is, any calls you do want to get, the only downside to this, in my opinion, is if I am getting a call from, like my doctor's office or something like that, and I haven't added their number to my contacts, it's going to go there and I'm going to have to review it. I'll still get a voicemail from them. But like if you get a call about an upcoming appointment, things like that. But I mean, in my opinion, the solve for that is just start adding those numbers to your contacts so that they don't get filtered out. But I'd rather err on the side of more stuff getting filtered to voicemail and me getting less calls and me then going to review it. And if they don't want to leave a voicemail, then I don't want to hear from them anyway. So that's just my opinion. Like, because some people wonder, like, what if they won't leave a voicemail? It's like, well, then they obviously didn't really want to talk to me, so I don't need to talk to them.
Yeah. All right, there you go. And yeah, that ask reason for calling setting it could be a nice middle ground too, right? That's there. As
Does that work?
KiwiGram says, ask reason for calling for unknown callers zaps over 90% of my incoming spam calls. So,
yeah. And there are a few other options in there. I was trying to remember. Yeah, there's different settings. So there's like a silence and you can play around with the settings, but there are a bunch of new settings. Apple recognized this problem with iOS 26, and they're trying to give us additional tools to help manage this sort of workaround stuff that these guys are doing. It's whack-a-mole.
Pete texts us and says, I have a shortcut to turn off the filter unknown callers setting when I know I'm going to get a call from a delivery. And I like that. You could probably also, I'd have to mess with it, but like the way shortcuts work, you could probably have it wait, 6 hours and then turn it back on too. Right? So that would be another thought process. But yeah, I didn't realize that was accessible from shortcuts. So I like that. Yeah. Good. Cool.
All right.
I was going to think, was there something else I was going to share about this? No, it doesn't matter. Moving on. Yeah.
Scott has a question. He says, so I remember recently you guys talked about favorite cases, iPhone cases he's talking about, but I can't find the info. Can you point me to the episode? I'm finally upgrading from my iPhone 11 to a 17 Pro Max. The new phone will arrive at the end of the month, and I'm hoping to order a case before it arrives.
So this might be a one-sided conversation because I know you often are naked and unafraid, at least in terms of your phone, Adam. I have often... So when I get a new phone, usually I'm ordering a phone, to be delivered on release day. Sometimes vendors will have their cases ready and want to send us like a little care package in advance for a case. I do like to have a case on my phone. I'm that person. And so, but oftentimes the sort of, vendors that we work with anyway, or that we often review, the folks like Spec and, CaseMate and CaseLogic and those sorts of things, don't have their cases ready in time. And so I usually go on Amazon and buy some $8 case for the new iPhone.
Right.
And I like a clear case usually because I'd like to see the color of my phone. And then, when a Spec or somebody sends out a case, I put it on my phone to test it. And it's like, oh, yeah, nice case. And then I wind up leaving it on my phone, and that's what we talk about in the show. But that didn't happen with my iPhone 17 Pro. I ordered my $8 Amazon case, and it's been on my phone ever since September. And that's not entirely true. I used an open case for a while. I really do like the open case. There's two things about it that I don't that make it so that I can't use it all the time. Number one is open case. It's not clear. It is mostly non-existent, right? Because it's basically just an edge case for the phone so that you can see the actual phone. And what I really like about that is if I'm putting like a pop socket or something on it, it sits on the phone, making the whole thing thinner because I'm not putting the pop socket on a case that then adds thickness to the whole deal. And it's better for charging and things like that because you're not going through the thickness of the case and you're not losing extra heat there and all that stuff. But so, but that's fine. I did before my trip to South by, I changed back to my clear $8 case that I got from Amazon because when I put my phone on the nightstand on the charging thing that I travel with, I can't do that with the open case because of the way the border works. Now, the open case comes with a little like a filler that you can put in there so that you can do that. But I often forget to travel with the filler. So before this trip, I just put it on that one. And I've dropped my phone. My $8 case has protected it just fine. I'm curious if anybody, like what you folks are doing about cases for your phones. Are you still buying the $30, $40, $50 cases? Or are you buying the $8 cases? And if you are buying the $8 cases, am I just lucky? Or have your $8 cases protected your phone as well as mine has? So I'm really curious about that. And you are still naked and unafraid, Adam?
Yeah, my only complaint is from my wife. I probably should start getting a glass screen protector because actually I get more damage on the screen now than I do on the actual phone itself. And I've dropped this a few times. I don't know if it's the new glass that's just stronger, but I will say, because I said it before. Now remember, again, I'm a naked phone person, and this is partially Apple's fault. So two things here. First of all, I agree with you on the open case. Like if I was going to use a case, because I obviously try cases. I've been sent cases in the past. I've done all the major brands. like gone through them and just realized I don't like the bulk. I don't like the extra stuff. So the open case to me is the closest to having a case, but not having a case, if that makes sense. Because it is open, I like the accessories, the little wallet thing, but being able to pop it off and, and it's nice and thin. I like the material. I probably would use it if they made a true leather one. They have a nice material that's leather-like, but it's not leather. And so that gets to the other side of this conversation. I used Apple's leather phone case on all my iPhones till they discontinued it. And I know they've got the new one, but it's not leather. I like natural materials. I don't like synthetics. I want and I'm sure I could find a third-party leather case, and maybe some people would recommend some that are close to Apple's, but Apple's was just so nice because it was nice and thin. I liked the metal button. It had the metal buttons, not plastic ones. Like, it had a lot of features that were really, really great. It wore, it got a nice patina when it wore down because it was natural leather, not, plastic. So,
yeah.
If Apple brought their leather case back, I'd probably buy it again. But
I will likely put my open case back on just because I like the thinness that it provides. Yeah. As far as leather cases go, I have tested some that I really like from Mujjo, Mujjo. Mm-hmm. They are real leather. They have a good hand feel to them. So I don't know that I've ever had the Apple leather case, Adam, so I can't compare the two. But yeah, I'm curious what people think out there. Yeah. So
yeah, but I've gotten so used to not having a case that I like it. So I don't know if I can ever go back to a case at all anyway.
Yeah, I like the idea of not a case. Let me put it that way. I don't know.
I'm crazy.
No, you like the phone is built to be used without a case. The iPhone always has been, right? It's meant to be used and just as it is. It's not meant to be preserved, like a museum piece. So
it might, it might be getting to the fact that like I'm moving to this place where maybe it's because I'm getting older or whatever, but I like retro stuff. Like there's a whole, I like old cars and like the style of old cars and things and stuff like that. And I'm starting to appreciate more old stuff that looks used and worn and tattered and going, that's okay that it's not pristine and perfect, And so in car culture, there's people will literally buy rusty old cars and clear seal them with the rust, surface rust in place because they like that look.
Sure.
And I'm getting to that space where it's just if my phone looks like it's got a little scuffs and nicks and stuff like that, that just shows it's a device. And that was one thing Steve always talked about is he preferred the things that looked like they were loved and used and they weren't, he liked nice things and high quality things. But also, he appreciated that, it was a device you used every day, and it showed that you used it every day because that showed you loved the thing.
Yep.
I
and in much of my life, I am the same way, and I suppose I am about my phone. My phone, it's more, I don't want it to be non-functional, right? So that's the difference, right? But my drums, I put my drums in cases when I move them from, from house to clubs or wherever I'm playing or whatever. But I don't worry about getting scuffs on them. I don't worry about getting scuffs on my car. I use these things and I'm fine with it. It's more with the phone. It's, if I drop it and it's destroyed and non-functional, now I'm screwed, right? It's not just that I'm out $1,000 for a phone, which also sucks, by the way. But the idea of now I don't have a phone, and we always keep a spare phone around for exactly.
But you have AppleCare, right?
Not on my phone. No, it's too expensive to put on the phone.
I do.
I know.
So maybe that's a difference too.
Yeah, maybe right. That's
Well, and it got cheaper. You know, my tip from last week, I now pay $20 a month for 3 devices. So hey.
It's true. Well, that is a great segue into cool stuff found, and I think we should start with Steve's, because Steve has perhaps an even better way. But before we move to Steve's cool stuff found, I do want to share. You mentioned tempered glass for your iPhone, the screen protectors. I always put one of those on my phone. Like I put it on before I power my phone up for the first time. So I order an $8 case from Amazon, and then I also order a 3-pack of tempered glass screen protectors for whatever size iPhone it is. And the ones that I've wound up buying for the last, I don't know how many iterations, let's say at least 3, are right now it's $10 for a 3-pack for the 17 Pro on Amazon. It's Ailun is the brand, AILUN. And these work great. I actually never replace mine. I don't need to. But as soon as my family has phones, like they probably replace them 3 times a year, 2 times a year. But it's $10. You know, it's fine. It starts to develop a little crack, and you just pop it off and put a new one on. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the tempered glass screen protectors on the phone. So
you don't have any like problems with distortion or weird color issues or
no?
Because that's always been my concern with those. I've seen them on people's phones in the past, and sometimes they're not always ideal. And then I always worry about getting the alignment just right. You know,
it is a trick. This not every year's version, but this year's version came with a little. It almost looks like a half a case that you kind of put around the top of your phone, and then drop the screen protector into it, so it perfectly aligns it onto your phone.
Great.
Yeah. It's and that's included in the the $10 or whatever. So there's a link to that.
Any air bubbles or any of that? Because that's the other one I'll get is see people with like, there's freaking air bubbles under there that drive me nuts.
Yeah. So what I do, I have a routine when I put these things on. Like I said, the dust and air bubbles are the 2 big issues. So when you get your iPhone, it has it's got a sticker on it, like over the glass that you're going to peel off. So I get everything ready in the room. I get the thing. I tell people if they're going to be in the room, don't breathe, because I want I want like the dust not circulating in the air. It's like, here, we're going to just do this. So just go away. It's fine. You don't have to. It's going to take 12 seconds for me to do this. Don't be breathing over me while I'm doing it. If you want to watch, hold your breath. That's what I'm going to do. So I do. I get everything ready. I hold my breath. I peel the thing off, and I pop the thing on. So dust is rarely an issue for me. Sometimes one little piece will get in, and it's really not that bad. You just lift it up, and then you can use like a piece of tape or whatever to pull the dust off the screen and pop it back down. Bubbles can be an issue, but generally what I do is I put the thing on and I start pushing from the middle out. So there's a reference for all of you Silicon Valley fans. It's middle out compression, right? So I start pushing from the middle out. And occasionally, yes, there will be a bubble towards one of the edges. The easiest thing to do is you just lift up that edge a little bit and then push from the middle out, and the bubble goes away. It's really not that big of a deal. And most of the time, even if you don't do that, the bubble will go away within about a day.
All right. So. I might have to try that with my next phone, whenever that is. But
yeah,
because my wife would appreciate it. She's like, "Yeah, I always get your phone with scratches on the screen." It's like,
yeah. So,
and even this latest glass that they claim is so great, I've got some pretty nice scratches in there.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I definitely put the tempered glass, I'm so used to the feel of it that I don't know that I would like a screen without it. But I don't know that it's all that different, candidly, because it's tempered, it's glass. Don't get the cheap plastic stuff. That's the stuff that turns colors and it's terrible. But I mean, the glass is $10, like so. And then you can buy high end stuff. And I will say, I have tried like the Kensington glass and all that stuff. It is so much nicer than the $10 glass. 3 for $10 glass. Like, it's thicker. It definitely, that's probably one of those things where it's worth it to spend a little more. So, there you go. I'll put a link to both. Yeah. All right, should we jump to Steve here now, even though we don't have a ton of time left? Yeah.
So Steve has a cool stuff found. He says, "Hey guys, Regarding your discussion on AppleCare Plus from episode 1133, I wanted to mention that for your Verizon listeners out there, they offer Verizon Home Protect for $25 a month. It covers every single electronic device in your home and a qualified second home. Laptops, Apple Watches, phones, of course, iPads, TVs, game consoles, etc. Yes, it's Assurion with the
Yeah,
Verizon
it's
wrapper.
through Assurion. Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
That's
Yep.
the name of the company. But I've had nothing but good experiences with them over the years. Just a few examples. They swapped out my Apple Watch Ultra for an Ultra 2, fixed my daughter's M1 MacBook Air, and replaced the HP Color Laser AIO printer. Acknowledged you're not getting the white glove treatment that you get with AppleCare, but coverage is more broad and definitely more affordable. Something to consider.
Huh. I know.
I mean, I have Verizon for my phone and stuff like that. Wow.
Oh.
I mean, if he's got a good experience, I would like to know from more people. I need a sample size bigger than one. Not that I don't trust you, Steve, but
Sure.
I don't trust Verizon or any partner of Verizon.
Yeah, well, yeah, Assurion's pretty like, yeah. They have Assurion has a business separate from Verizon. Like they are right. You know,
Right.
they are the thing. Yeah.
But you get a deal, I'm assuming, as a Verizon customer. It's like a partnership
Probably.
thing. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
sounds very tempting. I will tell you that. But can I get a sample size of more than one? I like my AppleCare because it's like no problem. Like, all right, pay your deductible, your little deductible, and here's a replacement device.
And you're done. Yeah, exactly.
You're done. Yeah. Like, no muss, no fuss.
Yeah.
And if it's like that, then that's great. And it sounds like he's saying it is. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
worth
All
a
right.
shot.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, I would like to hear from more of you about that too. Yeah. Let's see, Joe. I think we have time for maybe one more cool stuff found. And did I not move this one over either? If I didn't, it's fine. Yeah, here it is. I didn't move it over. But Joe shares. He said in last week's episode 1133, Father John asked whether he could have an app launch automatically when his Mac woke up. Half an hour after listening to your discussion in the episode, I ran across a reference to an app called Crank from lowtechguys.com. And he says, I think it's another way to solve Father John's problem. He says, Crank's product page is unusually clear. It's a when this happens, do that kind of scenario. And he says it listens for a wide set of macOS events like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, power, displays, wake, of course, mail received, privacy. I'm listing, I probably listed, 8% of what's on here. Item added to the clipboard, a visual change, webhooks, all kinds of things. This is interesting. Effortless macOS automation, no manual required. And it's all very like modular and visual about the way this works. I have never heard of Crank before. And it supports Gemini and ChatGPT so that you can actually write your actions in plain English and have them translated into Crank actions by the AI integration. See this. What a find, Joe. Interesting. And how much is it if I want to buy a license? Crank is €8. So, however, I think it's €8. Maybe is that £8? That might be
$9.23 US.
There you go. That's it. Crank. Okay. I will put that link in the show notes. Wow. How have we never heard about this before?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it looks like there's not, you got to pay for it. So,
yeah, but still, we are never accused of being inexpensive people to know or listen to, Adam. In fact, often just
not at all. Like,
yeah,
$10 is worth a shot, and if it works, and it sounds like it does, according to is it Steve who was recommending
Joe,
Joe,
listener Joe. Yeah. I like it. That's great. Thank you for that, Joe. Good stuff. All right. I think we're
done?
that's it. We're out of time.
Cooked.
Yeah. We're cooked. We have more cool stuff found. We have more questions. We have more quick tips. We have more of everything. So thanks for hanging out with us, folks. And we'll do this again next week. And we'll how about is Pete's timeout over now? Can we bring Pete back next week? I think so.
Yeah, we can.
Love you, buddy. I
like
missed
Pete.
having you here,
Yeah.
Pete. Yeah, I know. All right. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thanks to CashFly for providing all the bandwidth to get the show from us to you. If you missed Pete, make sure you listen to So There I Was this week. Always great stuff on that show. And lots of Pete. There's more of Adam on Debut Film Podcast and more of me on Business Brain and Gig Gab. Sign up for that giveaway, macgeekup.com/giveaway, and get yourself entered to win a copy of SoundSource, one of my favorite little utility app things. Good to be back. Good to get an episode in the kind of moving along. And I'm really glad I went and saw Phil Schiller speak.
It sounded great.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, it was fun. What would Pete say if he were here, Adam?
Well, my guess, if Pete was here, he would have a shirt on, and that shirt would say, "Don't get caught."
There we go.
Made on.
He might even have it on right now.
It's possible.
Who knows?
Who knows? Thanks, folks. We'll see you next week. Later. 1:46:15. We are out. 15. There we go.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about the audio thing. I know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense.
Did you upgrade Chrome or something?
No, what happened was I didn't have my Motu on when I launched Audio Hijack. But what's weird is, so Audio Hijack was fine. It picked up the Motu when I turned it on, like the input device went on. And then I launched Edge and I launched StreamYard. For whatever reason, StreamYard went to my M4 instead of the virtual audio device, even though the audio device was on, it was running, and I had not launched Edge until so I don't know why it reverted back to just my straight mic. So you were getting my straight mic was what the issue
Yeah,
was.
that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Yep.